Everyone, I'm finally covering Project Blue for a couple of reasons. Number one, I now have downtime after US Nationals to just kind of do whatever I want. It's going to be a long time for the next tournament season. So I feel like delving into some other stuff that's not just CC might be important. Second reason is to put it very succinctly and bluntly, Flesh and Blood is way too fucking expensive. The game, almost by design from LSS, has had an insane price barrier ever since I joined. I mean, I played during Aria, and this was right after the whole Monarch scandal. And when I joined, people assured me that over time prices would come down, supply would catch up with demand, all this kind of stuff, that eventually the game would have all of its kinks ironed out and that it would be just as affordable and accessible as a lot of other modern TCGs. Time has somehow proven that wrong, and the game has only gotten more expensive. I think LSS now it's a little bit more clear that it needs to come from them, and that the market will not sort itself out on this one. It's less to do with like some kind of scarcity. I mean, the scarcity is inherently coming from LSS. So what that means is that people want to play formats where they feel like they can compete on a budget, right? Like, you can build a budget CC deck, but you're never going to win nationals with it, right? But if you have, $50 or something like that, you can build a Project Blue deck and win like the tournament that they're having in New Zealand right now. So I think that this kind of thing is important, and I'll have to see how well this does on the channel, but I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be very invested in a format like this. Probably, unfortunately, less to do because people like playing lower power formats where they have deck building constraints and stuff like that. That's why I would find a format like this exciting, even if I had access to, full power CC lists. It's, I have a deck building restriction, right? I only have 40 cards and I have only commons and rares to work with. How do I brew the heroes to be as powerful as they can be? That's fun for me as a deck builder, but I feel like a lot of people are going to end up mainly engaging in this format because they actually can't afford to compete in CC, which is such a bummer. And I wish that LSS would find a way to fix that, but they're a little bit too preoccupied with printing generic fables and high seas. So I don't know what's going on anymore. And the gravy list at top 8 at Nats, I think, is like 2.5K, something absolutely mind-boggling like that. People don't have money like that. So I feel like this would be a good one to start with, even though you may lose, right? But at least you can play gravy. So to go through the equipment suite, pretty self-explanatory. We have Buccaneers Bounty. This is just Blossom Spring. You get access to one resource one time, and that's usually good enough. You're running the compass, obviously, and I like Headstone for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can filter a blue into the yard, which can turn on gravy for the turn. So maybe let's say you don't have an ally on top of the deck, but you don't really have a blue that you can easily discard either. The Headstone just lets you drop a blue from the top of the deck if you opt it with the compass. And then you can turn on the hero power, play your allies, do whatever you want. I think it's pretty solid. And Peg Leg could probably be Mage Master boots. I'm just valuing having some blocking equipment a little bit higher because I think that in these kind of lower power formats, you do want blocking equipment because there's not a whole lot of leeway in terms of your life total. So having a block one feels important. Washed Up Wave is a block 2 sometimes that also will help you dump an ally into grave. Just wanted to go back and add the tipples because I think they're actually really important for the deck list. This just lets you fuel the graveyard very quickly. The blue one also turns on Gravy's hero power, refunding the card, getting the gold. It's basically everything you want for the deck. It turns everything online. We have basically the prime, I think, allies when it comes to commons and rares. Chowder and Rigor Mortis are both like very powerful cards on their own, and they're basically like you have to clear them off the board immediately. Oisin is just really simple as a 0 card play, right? You can just block out with your hand if they don't clear it, and then just send 3 at them, puts you on a really good math turn cycle. And then Limpet lets you convert. So whether that's you have a bunch of allies and your opponent's ignoring them, you get a 4 card hand for free because they spend their whole turn clearing another ally, whatever it is, right? Like, just this having go again, I think is really important for extending some of your turns. The Salt Waters, because I think that if you're able to cheat the pitch, I think you get some really explosive plays with it. Jittery Bones is a way to just present, good aggressive damage while dumping the allies in. And then Bark is like a really solid finisher to me, but it's also a very clean 2-card play. If you have gold and you're able to know that you have a blue on top of your deck, this is a very good second cycle card specifically. because you just use a blue, you pitch to a gold, so you float 1. You draw a new card, and either it's the bark and the other blues in your hands, or you had the bark in hand, and now you draw your second blue. Now you just cleanly get 4 resources, and with only 2 cards, you get a 2-card 9 attack, right? So 2-card 9 is fantastic, especially in a lower power format like this. The rest of our blues are just ways to convert either Gravy's hero power to go online, or to just play about and attack with a bunch of allies, right? So Vasti is the best one. You get go again on your allies, so you can swing with 2 allies in a turn. Very powerful. Heave Ho gives it overpower, which can be good to close out the game. Loot the Arsenal and Loot the Hold are both disruptive cards for the allies, so you put an on hit on the ally, which makes it usually harder for your opponents to clear. Portside Exchange is just a good way to get the engine going. Restless Bones, just hand conversion, puts them in the yard. Yo-Ho-Ho is this gold generation, same with C4 Salvage. So we kind of round out what we want from the blues, right? We have some damage, but we mainly have just really simple go again cards that cost 0, turn on Gravy's ability, so that way we're able to play our allies from the grave. The sideboard is very much a work in progress. I'm messing around with some AB and then a couple of cards that might be important. Block 4s in this format are very good, especially against aggro, and the weird thing is that these are not the same as Dromai's invokes, because these can actually win clashes to my knowledge, unless if that has been changed in the rules. So I think that this can actually be pretty solid into aggro. You have Barracuda as a similar play line as Bark, right? These high tie cards are very strong in the deck. Barracuda destroys an ally, so good against Dromai and the Mirror. And then you have one that targets items with the Kraken. I think maybe this one could actually be Sloop if you're playing against a matchup where you need a lot of go again conversion into them. So if you need to play a lot of go again cards, I mean, High Tide Sloop is really good. So, and then finally against specifically like the Mirror or grindy matchups, you can have Kelpie against either High Seas heroes, but specifically against Necromancer, and then Scuba as well. It's like a good attrition style card for certain matchups. So let's actually jump into a game so that way that you can see how I would play this deck. All right, so we're playing against Levia, and I guess we'll kick things off by at least activating the compass so we can know what we're working with on the top of the deck. Rigor Mortis is actually really good, and we may actually break the headstone on turn 0, just because that way we can actually fill the yard a little bit. They are on Bone Basher, which means they might have a harder time clearing it. It's undetermined, but we could very simply break it. So I think we're gonna just go for a more aggressive line here. We can actually give it overpower as well, which is also pretty solid. We can clear out some of the equipment suite here. So we'll go ahead, we'll play it. And thinking if there's anything else I might want to do on this turn. It doesn't seem like it. I think we're comfortable just to send this for 6 overpower. So the Beckoners actually get a little bit less equity against us, which is pretty solid. And we also had the Heave Ho text as well, so now we have a gold. So we're really doing pretty well for ourselves, I think, here. And now they spend their whole second turn just clearing the ally. I mean, this is exactly what we like about playing Gravy, right? The allies usually demand an entire turn, depending on the deck. If they have access to a lot of go again conversion, then they can clear allies and send damage at face. But in this case, we're gonna just get a free 5-card hand. Fortunately, it's not exactly the 5-card hand we want to see. We would like some allies in the hand, so on our turn, we're probably going to be using Compass and then trying to crack gold or use the Gravy ability specifically. So we will see. I think that we should probably activate the Compass first. That way we can see if there's a blue. There is a blue, which means that we can pitch this and then get our pitch card in there. We have a ton of resources now, so we can basically play out everything from our hand. And now we need to think about if we want to activate gold here or not. I think I'm fine actually using it to just straight up draw a card because we are so flush on resources. We do not draw what we want, which is definitely unfortunate. Like I said, we're really looking for an ally here. I'm starting to slowly fill the graveyard up a little bit. We're going to send the Tipple for 2. And then we have a couple options. I think I'm going to just choose to Arsenal the blue Tipple. We really do need it to actually enable one of our stronger turns, especially the allies. The blue Tibble is uniquely powerful because not only does it put the ally in grave, but it also turns on the same hero text in the same turn. So we're relatively comfortable with this. Kind of wish the turn was a little bit more explosive, but it does happen, so. Let's go ahead and look at the top. It's a bark, unfortunately, so we're still failing to find allies, which is not good news because it means that most likely they're about to clump in the next couple hands altogether. At the very least, we are able to go 1 into 4, but knowing that we're about to draw bark, I think that we actually just want to play this and not give it go again. Barks is going to give us like a pretty solid outlet for the blues, and if we clear all the blues from our hand, there's a high likelihood we're about to draw some allies, and I would really hate to draw a hand with, you know, the bark and maybe like 2 other allies, right? Because we ditched all of our blues, right? So yeah, there's already 1 ally, so that's just kind of what I was trying to explain, is that if we do try to clear all the blues, the ratios are not looking very favorable for us, and we should probably play to our best outs, right? This hand's actually pretty solid because we can go Tipple, discard the Oisin, play it from grave, and then send the bark after. And it looks like our opponent did not really get to capitalize a whole lot, but we do need to consider that they may actually try to fatigue us here. So maybe not. Looks like they just wanted to convert a pummel. So we're going to take a lot of damage. A little bit scary, but I think this turn should be good for us. So and now I think we're going to Arsenal the Loot the Hold, unless if the top of the deck looks really powerful and we want to play it. It's just another Tipple, so no reason to. Now we're good to close the chain, play the Oisin with Go Again off the compass, and then we can finish this out here with the good old bark for 9. Very explosive turn, but if I had to guess, someone tells me my opponent is going to block for 9 and just send the hammer at the Oisin. So we may actually need to look for a larger push turn, potentially. This probably could be one of them, right? We're going to have access to a couple ally attacks here, which is definitely important, but the hardest thing is we're going to have to find a way to get these into grave. We're going to go ahead and take this one. Looks like they opted not to send it the Oisin, which is definitely interesting. We're going to go ahead and ditch the Rigor Mortis. We're going to draw a new card. It's actually another Tipple, which is pretty solid. We're going to get access to a lot of resources this turn, and we're going to be able to convert a lot of allies out of the grave. My biggest concern though is we are at 8, so we may have to posture differently pretty soon. Go ahead and play our Tipple, discarding our Limpet. We get a blue, which is perfect. We're about to get a ton of damage on this turn, and we're going to get multiple allies. We're probably going to break the peg legs and the bounty here, but we definitely have some good play lines available to us. So the first one, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to close the chain, and we're going to play Rigor Mortis. And now we have a couple of different options. Let's at least opt the top of the compass. It's a blue, so that's definitely good. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to pitch to a Gold. And now we have 1 extra resource available. And now we can do a couple things, but I think the cleanest line here is going to be activating the boots. And then we're going to attack with Oisin. It's going to come in for 3. I'm expecting them to potentially block, but I do plan on just playing Loot the Hold and then sending Rigor Mortis for 6. On hit, they have to discard a card. This is about to be really punishing for them because it looks like they may be anticipated on holding more. So we'll play that. This comes in for 6. If they want to keep a card to use Bone Basher to clear something, they have to give, or they have to take 3 here, which is good for us. Very solid. They dodged the on hit, but this is good for us because now we have a lot of allies set up, so we should be able to convert them pretty well. This is exactly what I did say I was worried about, though, because we did not draw a whole lot of them in the early game. We're going to have to activate Gravy here just to get something in the grave. I think we're going to have to dump probably the Oisin. We're going to have to play a Restless Bones and then destroy one of them out of hand. I think it'll probably have to be the Limpet. And then we're going to have to pitch the Chowder to just send one of these. And then we're probably going to have to send Limpet. We win the clash with the Bark. And that was an agility one, which is actually so huge for us. So we're going to get access to 2 ally swings next turn. We're going to close the chain. We now have our graveyard available to us. We'll go ahead and play Limpet. We will attack with Limpet into Rigor Mortis. So we're going to go 2 into 6. Overall, pretty good turn considering our hand was like basically a brick. I think that our endgame's looking pretty solid here. We still have Scuba available in the pitch stack, so I'm not really concerned about getting fatigued out, to be honest. We're going to be able to recur a lot of our threats in the endgame. Now we have a lot of good play lines here. The most obvious one to me is just going Limpet into Battalion Bark. Depends on where this Marauder is going. And now we just need to think about if there's any random pump that could get us if we say no blocks here, because I really do want to say no blocks. This hand is incredibly explosive. We have the ability to go Rigor Mortis, 2 Limpet attacks, and then a Battalion Bark. So if this does not kill us, our opponent is probably dead. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we should block with here just to not randomly die. I'm not coming to that conclusion, so I'm willing to risk it here. We go to 2, and it looks like we're about to be very rewarded. A couple different options. I think pushing just damage this turn is probably more important than presenting an on-hit. My opponent's not going to get to really keep anything, so I hardly think it matters here. We're going to start by playing our Limpet. And then we're going to swing our Rigor Mortis. So it's going to be 6, 2, 2, 9, which is going to be way more than our opponent can handle. And then we'll send our Limpet. This will have to go again, just naturally on the ability. This is why we included it. I think this one's very powerful. Specifically for endgames like this, right? We build out our board, our opponent can't answer it, and so we're able just to, have this really strong final push turn. I mean, this game is not even going to be close, I think. And we know there's a blue on top of the deck, so we don't even have to activate the chess piece here. We're just going to pitch a gold, float 1, draw our new blue, and then we're going to have 4 resources, and our opponent is just dead here. We're going to see how this goes. We have access to Golden Tipple on turn 1, which is pretty good, but we also could display Rigor Mortis and pass. I think both are valid, but I'm probably leaning towards just playing this. Putting the Battalion Bark in pitch stack and then just passing turn. They spend their whole turn clearing it, which I think is perfectly fine for us. We're going to get to push a lot because we have Tipple and 2 allies in our hands, so this is kind of exactly what we want here. We also have Loot the Arsenal, so we'll get to provide a fork as well for the opponent. We're going to go and ditch Chowder out of the hand for a new card. And then we'll probably end up activating Gravy just to clear out another ally because we've drawn a bit too many here. We maybe could have considered activating Compass first and maybe popping the Headstone. Having too many of these in hand is definitely a liability, so whenever you're able to, I think it's good to clear them out and get them in the grave. We'll go and activate Gravy here. We will probably ditch the Limpet. And then we definitely have a couple options. I think probably a pretty clean line here is just going to be playing Loots, playing the Limpet, sending it for 2 with the on hit, and then we're going to pitch our Oisin to play Chowder and just gain 1, because the ability is an instant, so even though we're not going to have go again, we still very easily get to just establish this and then gain some life. So we'll play it, we'll gain our 1, and we're going to Arsenal Swell and pass. Basher comes at us, which tells me that there's probably a pummel coming our way. I'm not really concerned because I feel like we're going to be ahead on life most of this game, especially any off turns that go to an ally. Looks like my opponent changed their mind. So we're going to attack with Pack Call here. Not really a concern. We might as well check the top of the deck. It is a Vasti, which is pretty good, but we don't really have a way to draw it, unfortunately. The only thing is that we're going to get access to, a Saltwater pitch, which is good, but not exactly what we're looking for. I am considering just blocking here, maybe at least with 1 card. Our turn can pretty easily just be Limpet into Chowder, or it could be Limpet into Restless Bones for 4. I think both are solid, but I really don't have any reason to be taking unnecessary damage. At the very least, we're going to play Saltwater just because it's just good hand conversion, and we probably would rather have a Tipple. Obviously, Saltwater is a very powerful card. It lets you do some really broken turns. It just hasn't lined up so far this game. It could be that the red is maybe a bit overkill, but time will tell. And then we're going to send our Limpet for 2. I'm really expecting one of the allies to get cleared here. The nice thing is that when the Chowder gets cleared, we'll still be able to gain 1 since it'll be untapped. So Chowder just is a really good stat line for the ally. I think it's a very powerful one. Our opponent passes, which means we get even more hand conversion. This is very interesting. So we're going to go ahead and play Tipple, discarding our Oisin. Now we have a lot of Tipples available, probably too many to be honest, but at least our blue one now discards the yellow, so it's not really a huge problem. And also this will turn on Gravy, which means that the rest of our turn is now accounted for. Let's hope that we win the Agility Clash. We do not, that's okay. So now we know we have Scuba on top of the deck. So we actually could activate Gravy here and then get the Scuba in the arsenal, or sorry, in the graveyard. I think that's probably solid. We also could just activate Headstone here. I think they're both viable options, but I think this is probably just a pretty simple line. And then we'll go ahead and we'll play our Tipple, discarding our Tipple. Now we can push a lot of damage here. Really depends on what we want to do. At the very least, we're definitely going to be attacking with Limpet. And then I do think we probably want to play the Chowder. Or I think we want to play Scuba here. So we're going to play Scuba. It's just good damage conversion. We'll get the convert 4 here. We'll use the effect. We could put an Oisin back in. I think we're just going to put the Tipple back in, to be honest. It does generate us a gold, though, which is very good. We have too many allies that they have action points for, so every single turn that Limpet is sticking around, it's causing problems. It is possible they're going to try to maybe double clear allies this turn. We did forget to gain 1 off the Chowder. That's my misplay. Probably shouldn't matter. If anything, I'm more worried that this matchup might actually end up in fatigue over us taking too much damage. So Chowder goes, or so Scuba goes down. We'll see what the other attack is at. It probably should go at Chowder, but I'm very happy to see Limpet chill out. So them now having Blood Debt means that we can't get fatigued here, so that's very, very good for us. We might as well use our compass, see what's on top. We have a blue. I really have no reason to block at this point. We've been ahead on life basically the entire game, and our board state reflects more life, so if they eventually start clearing our allies, we don't really have a problem with the damage that we took early game. So we know the top of the deck is blue, so we need to think about how we want to handle this turn. We know that we do have an Oisin engrave, so Avasti I think is a really clean play line that we have available. So I think at the very least, let's start with the Jittery Bones. We're gonna come in for 4. We're gonna play Avasti, play the Oisin, attack with Go again, swing our Limpets, and then probably close out with Chowder. We also could maybe decide based on how many cards they're holding. If they go down to 1 card left just to swing the Bone Basher into something, we could actually consider playing the Loot the Holds to rip their last card so they actually can't Bone Basher us. Feels very important considering the board state at the moment. It really depends on if they give a card here, and specifically the armor. Because if they keep all the armor, the Chowder does not do it because they can just armor stuff it. So we may not get lucky. We'll play Avasti. This opens up the graveyard to us, so we're able... the only problem though is that we won't be able to play both because it's not going to have Go again. That is a problem. At the very least, we can swing 3, swing 2, swing 3. So it seems solid. We're going to get to make our golds. We can even consider starting to break golds and just digging for a new card. Saltwater. I say we crack another one. Tipple's very good. It's possible we actually may use it on this turn. It does get us to lethal, which is pretty solid, so we will play Tipple. Now I don't really think we need to play the Loot the Holds, only because if they go all the way down to 3, they have to block this anyway, so putting an extra on-hit on it doesn't really feel as important. So I think we're just going to be attacking for 3 and taking a card, or specifically their armor suite. I definitely feel like we are in a winning position for sure. Our board state is going to be like near unbeatable for our opponent at this point. They've ignored some of our stronger cards, right, like Limpet, for a little too long. So now every turn that we get to keep cards, we're just, picking our choice of what 3 attack we want, and then any extra blue, we're able to send an extra 2 in there. And then every turn that Chowder sticks around, we're also gaining 1. So I feel like we have probably snowballed the game out of our opponent's control. But obviously we'll have to see, depending on what their 3-card hand is. They do have a card they need to clear out with Blood Debt. So I'm mainly just curious if this is all coming face. If this is all coming face, I think we have the game on lock here. It looks like it is. The top of our deck is a blue. So it looks like our opponent is going to break legs and then play 2 Grim Feasts. It's not a bad play, but it doesn't really solve the predicament they're in. So we're just going to get to convert out our hand here, send a ton of damage. So we're going to go ahead and send 2 Limpets into probably Oisin. We'll probably just stick the Jittery Bones in Arsenal, and then we're going to get to gain 1 off the Chowder. So our board state feels pretty unbeatable at this point. Like, this is such an insane value exchange on our end. Chowder being able to convert for a life gain every single turn is really nice, because as you can see, a turn like this, we're actually going to successfully tap all 4 allies. I feel like this is like almost like the perfect setup here. And then we still have our 2 barks in the deck as well. So I just don't think that there's really anything that my opponent can do to really handle what our end game is about to be. So we use up our last action point before the turn's over. We're going to go ahead and gain 1, the Chowder. We'll put the Jittery in Arsenal. Now we have a solid 4 go again to start our turn. And we also have Loot the Hold as well. So we're going to be able to put the Rigor Mortis on a pretty strong breakpoint. I think if you're the opponent, you probably have to clear the Chowder here. It's very difficult though, because the Limpets actually feel the most impactful currently. They feel like they're incredibly strong. Looks like the Beast Hulk is coming to us though, which is not a problem in the slightest. So we're just gonna block and probably kill our opponent. I mean, it could be they just feel like they just don't have an answer here, but I do think they maybe could have just sent 4 and just cleared the Chowder. So, I mean, this is about to be absolutely disgusting. We can at least look at the top card. Okay, it's a blue, so we just know we're gonna Jittery the ally from hand, and then our turn is going to be Loot the Holds, 2 Limpets, and then send 6 at the end. And I don't think our opponent's gonna be able to come back, honestly. We could activate Gravy here, but there's kind of no point. I'd rather just play it from hand here. And then we'll go ahead and play it from the grave. We're gonna go 2/2/6. So, and we're probably gonna pop the chest here. Don't think my opponent remembered about the on hit, so they're probably gonna rewind this. We'll see. They have to give a card here. Okay, I don't think it really matters, right? Because they give a card here, they have to give a card on this Limpet, and then they're dead on the final attack. So absolutely disgusting when this deck comes together. So hopefully this is helpful in teaching you how you might want to play the deck, or at least getting eyes on what your play lines are. There's definitely more to experiment with, so we'll have to see. But until next time, thank you for watching.